All right, it's Aaron Ritter with the Limitless podcast. Once again, sitting in front of a mic in a computer screen on the eastern shore of Maryland. No travel for me on this episode. Uh, Quick shout out to two of my favorite sponsors of the Limitless podcast. First one is Hunting Day Coffee. Can't say enough about their hot Joe. I love it. Bow Hunter blend. I prefer a dark or a bold blend or a bold coffee. The Bow Hunter is their average medium roast, but when I say average, meaning it's an average medium roast, but it is not an average coffee whatsoever. Not only does it have a cool name and it comes in a really, really cool bag, Bow Hunter blend is a incredible coffee. And you can get a discount for being a listener with our podcast, Limitless 10. If you go to their website, any of your order, Limitless 10, you get a 10% discount. The next company that I want to talk to you about is my favorite call company in the entire world, Phelps Game Calls. I'm a huge fan of Phelps. Right now, for the Limitless podcast, if you go to Phelps, use Be Limitless 20. That's BELIMBITLESS 20. You get a 20% discount on one order. That's not one item, that's one order. So make sure you're ready to go spend a little bit of money when you use that code because it's a one time use. But I encourage you to go use it. Jason Phelps, Dirk Durham, they're great dudes. They're putting out great calls, and it's not just elk calls anymore. They have a wide variety of calls for the outdoorsmen. Go check them out. So, with that said, I have somebody sitting in front of me right now that I met at the NRA Great American Outdoor Show this last February 2024. Near and dear to my heart is a man that loves the backcountry, loves to hunt, loves to bow hunt, but he doesn't love the mass marketed, mass produced, freeze dried backpacking food, which is a big deal. So he ventured out on his own and he has created on point adventure foods. And man, the first connection that I had with this gentleman was immediate. We're going to tell that story. He is a man of faith. He is a man of the outdoors. And I am so excited to introduce to everybody Justin Aust. Justin, let it go, man.
Aaron, thanks so much for having us on here. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's been great since the first moment we ran into each other at the outdoor show, and excited to be on today.
I'm really glad to have you guys here. So, how did we meet? Justin and I both had the pleasure of providing seminars at the NRA
Mhm.
show this past February. And Justin was the presenter coming in after I don't think it was my last seminar. It was day two of the
Day
show.
two. It
It
was
was
it
it was
was
day
day two. Mhm.
it was day two of the show. He was coming in after my seminar, and I was supposed to be packing up my gear and heading back down to the Latitude booth to sell saddles to people. And when Justin threw his slides up and started unpacking freeze dried meals in front of me, and I happened to be hungry because I had skipped lunch, I ended up sitting in a seat and I listened to half of his seminar. And the next morning, we met for coffee before the doors opened, and Justin and I walked the halls of the NRA show, which, if you've never been, the halls are vast and crowded with booths.
Oh, it's
And
it's it's unreal.
it is, right? It's massive. And
Yeah.
we chatted it up. A friendship began. We started making plans for a backcountry hunt in Pennsylvania together, which we're hoping we can put something together in
Hmm.
2025. I don't, if we have to stretch it to 26, we will, but no later than that.
We'll
That's
make it
how
happen.
that's how we met. And they they gave me a couple things to try, and I took their You're gonna have to correct me now. It's the meal that is it's a beef marinara with
It's
squash.
a spaghetti squash sausage marinara. So
Yes.
it's unbelievable. It's one of our meals we run. It's I can't speak highly enough of all of our meals. I mean, I'm kind of biased, but they're also home cooked from scratch, and we'll get into some of that. But how was it, Aaron?
So I cooked that meal with my jet boil from a tree saddle at the Latitude booth with people walking all around me. It was great. And that meal is so good.
Hmm.
So tell us, that's enough of me talking.
Yeah.
Time for you to talk, Justin. Tell us how and why you started and what your meals are about.
Yeah, guys. I guess just to sum it up, really, we wanted to have home cooked food available anywhere. My family's been hunting out west, primarily Colorado, a few other states out west for elk, mule deer, stuff like that since I want to say like the 1970s. So, I mean, they've been at it for a while. Along comes me, so, and I was lucky enough to start going out there as a kid. I'm sound like I'm old now. I guess 2006 was my first trip, so I guess I'm going on 20 years of western hunting and backcountry hunting, off horseback, packing in things like that, and kind of the whole time. Something that I didn't think of was the food. I mean, you would just go out and we had MREs and some of the other brands, not to bring any bad publicity to any factory style meals out there on the market, but it was subpar food that didn't taste the best. It would get you by, but that's about it. And then I guess fast forward to a few more recent hunts, 2019, 20, 21. I was really doing a lot of run and gun style elk hunting, stuff like that. We were just tired of eating all the other brands that are out there in the market, and we just wanted something fresh. So I'm an engineer by trade. I'm kind of an official nerd. It was part of my seminar, as Aaron alluded to at the outdoor show. But I'm always tinkering with stuff. I'm the guy that takes things apart and puts them back together, and started looking into freeze drying. And I guess fast forward to now, and we're making 12 different kinds of meals available: breakfast and your lunch slash dinner meals. Everything's home cooked in our commercial facility, and I mean it's a better option out there. It's less in sodium, the proteins higher for these folks out there. The packaging is I feel really nice. We have that kind of dialed in. Just a lot of the shortcomings that we've faced with eating the other brands out there over the years, and I think we really have it figured out here now.
I will tell everybody this is what really attracted me to On Point Adventure Foods. I'm 51 years old. On my dad's side of the family, it's hereditary cholesterol issues and heart
Hmm.
disease. And I had a rude awakening um, about 6 weeks ago. Well, when this episode publishes, it's going to be longer than that. But as of today, we're recording 6 weeks ago. My blood work came back pretty bad,
Hmm.
and it was equated to a decrease in exercise and motivation and a terrible diet. And part of that diet was my backcountry diet. And I spend a fair amount of time with a pack on my back running around wilderness areas, either scouting or hunting. And my first change last year was I'm a top ramen guy. I really, really like ramen. And I like it midday is kind of it forces me to sit down. It forces me to take a break, get the pack off and think a little bit, get some hydration in me and get weight off of having a prosthetic. It makes me take my leg off, wipe sweat, check, do I need to put some A&D ointment on, do a little bit of leg maintenance. The amount of sodium that I was intaking at that point, I was using the store bought cheap
Hmm.
college ramen that you buy at Walmart for like 37 cents a pack. My meal plan was beef jerky, a beef stick, a top ramen pack, a chicken bouillon, and a peak refuel meal. Now, I have nothing against peak refuel. In fact, for the mass produced meals out there, I'm a big fan.
Mm-hmm.
They're tasty. Now, a lot of that taste is coming from a high sodium content, right? But it is I really, really like it. And they have great versatility in their menu lineup. So you can go out for 7, 8 days and not eat the same meal twice if you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to. I did have my favorites, but I started looking at my sodium intake, and it was off the charts. And then the bigger problem, and this isn't just from an amputee standpoint, but as an amputee, this is critical. I was intaking the majority of my daily sodium intake at night in camp within probably 60 to 90 minutes of going supine for as long as I was going to be in my quilt. That's terrible, right? So there's a lot of people that argue, hey, when you're out there crushing altitude, hauling packs on your back, hauling meat, you have to have sodium intake. I get it. I'm an ultra marathoner. I know, I fully understand sodium intake so that you don't crash. However, with my background, I also know that I don't take off from the starting line for a 50K or a 60K or a marathon or a half marathon. You pick your distance, but the longer you go, the more this is critical. You don't take off from the start line, and then when you're a mile from the finish line, crush all the sodium that you have in your hydration vest, and then go across the finish line and think, okay, I'm good. That's not healthy. That's more or less what I was doing. I was having severe issues with my leg. My leg, after about day 3, day 4, my residual limb would swell. I'd have problems getting my leg in the socket. Once I would get it in the socket, then I'm walking on a swollen leg. Now I've got skin abrasions, and I've got pressure corns, I've got ulcers, and it's a mess, right? And then, not to mention the sodium levels within my body as a 50-year-old. So my first step last year was I made myself a sodium free ramen substitute. That still didn't solve the whole problem, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
You guys opened me up to a whole new world. So now your portions are half the size of a
Mm-hmm.
peak refuel. It's half the sodium,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a higher quality food. And now again, I've gone through I've just vomited a whole lot of information. Justin, I want you to share in detail what you shared with me at the show on how you obtain the ingredients for your products compared to what the mass
Mm-hmm.
industry does.
Well, I mean, as simply put as I can, it's home cooked foods that we're very blessed on where we live. We're from Western Pennsylvania, have a lot of strong farming in the area. The agriculture is very good here. We have a lot of access to local butchers, things like that. We even go to our local fairs, purchase our beef and pork right there. We're literally bidding on the animals that we're getting butchered to go into the meals. I mean, as fresh as you can get our ingredients. I mean, that is exactly what we're doing. The eggs, we crack our own eggs from scratch. I mean, everything is as much as possible made in our commercial facility ourselves. I mean, we don't outsource really any of the ingredients, so to speak. So basically, even like the spaghetti squash sausage marinara that you that you alluded to,
Man, that was so
yeah,
good.
it's awesome.
It is
We
really good.
it's one of my favorites, and it's kind of a seasonal meal, but we try to make enough to last all year. But that it's usually sold out by year's end. But even that one, I mean, I have a local farmer that grows that for us, and he calls me up and he's like, hey, I'm giving you a week, get out here and cut all these things off the vine. So I'm out in the field hacking spaghetti squash off. I mean, it's as fresh as you're going to get your ingredients, and really that is kind of the secret itself in obtaining our sodium contents being so low. I mean, the freeze drying process is the preservative, you know, and we're not buying a lot of ingredients that are sitting on a shelf, you know, very long, anything like that. So really, the freeze drying process preserves the food. What it does is it takes all the moisture out of the food, um, and then basically what you know, I'll give you the scientific breakdown here in a couple minutes, but there's really no way that the food can spoil once it's sealed in the packs. So really, the beauty of that process is that we don't have to be sourcing a lot of high sodium ingredients and things like that because they are, you know, obtained locally here. So really that's the key. I mean, it's home cooked food available anywhere.
Well, it's tasty. I was on a trip 2 weekends ago. In fact, you and I chatted on the phone while
Hmm.
I was driving to the trailhead and you were driving to the airport.
Yep.
And I had two of your meals packed with me and a meal that I dehydrated myself. It was my first attempt at a dehydrated backpacking meal. So, not knowing, and I typically test things at home before I take it into the field. I want to know how my gear works. I want to know how to work it in the dark. I don't necessarily
Hmm.
test it cold and wet when I'm at home, but I certainly play with it and I know how it works, whether the lights are on or off. And when it comes to food nutrition, I like to taste and try everything that I'm going to take with me because
Hmm.
once you get back there, that's what you have, right? So I
Yep.
don't want it to be a flop when I'm really really hungry or I need that pick me up. Like when I say a pick me up, it's not like a caffeine boost or an energy boost. It's that mental boost, it's that
Hmm.
comfort boost, and that's where the ramen comes in. To me, that's my creature comfort back there. if
Sure.
if I'm just getting my hiney handed to me on the mountain, I know that I can sit down and I can fire up the jet boil. That hiss is just like,
Mm.
for the sailor, it's that siren call, right? Just I just know something good's coming. And
you know it's coming.
I know it's like, oh, this is gonna be so good. Let's see the smile on my
Yeah.
face, right? And it's my happy place out there. So I didn't do that with this dehydrated meal
Hmm.
that I was taking. So I carried an extra dinner with me just in case. I said just in case, right? So
Well played.
I know one of the meals I remember was the spaghetti. Oh, it was your mashed potatoes.
Mm.
It's based off of a shepherd's
It's
pie.
a shepherd's pie. Yeah, it's a beef vegetable mashed potato bowl. Oh man,
Yeah.
they're all great. I mean,
Yes.
we don't make one we don't love. You know.
It was here's here's what I really really liked about it. When you eat it, you it's like you're eating a home cooked meal.
That's it.
The sodium levels aren't through the roof.
No.
And that's where I'm super impressed. I can eat the right portion in the evening and I can hit my quilt and not wake up swollen
Hmm.
the next morning from an
Yes.
overload of sodium. But not only that, it's like you're sitting in your tent or you're sitting on a log or your camp chair or your foam pad or a stump or whatever it is you're sitting on. Maybe it's just on pine needles. I don't know. But when you stick your eating utensil into that little mylar pouch and you take a mouthful, it's like you're eating home cooking because it's
Hmm.
not overloaded with sodium.
Right.
It's wonderful.
Oh, you certainly appreciate it. I mean, that's like I said, that's what we were after. It's been a long time coming. I feel like the market's I feel like the market's ready for us. I think enough people out there have had the same experiences in a roundabout way. You know, like you said, through your military service, eating a lot of different meals out there. I mean, the MRE style stuff. I mean, all these different things that are out there on the market that really that just don't sustain you well if you're surviving strictly on them. And I feel like that this is a taste of home in the mountains. I mean, especially if you're, your backcountry stuff. I mean, that's exactly how we got started. Like I said, it's I can't speak highly enough of the home cooked food and the pick me up that gives you
Mhm.
when you're out on the trail. It's amazing.
So I'm going through a big nutrition change, not just in my life, but in my pack load for this year. And there was some experimenting taking place on this last trip that I went with East Coast Nick. No jerky, no pepperoni sticks, they're gone. I've really started to look at energy bars. And if you look at the nutrients, it that little important black and white label that's on the back of all packaging that most Americans never even look at. Most of your energy bars are crap. They're not
Mm-hmm.
they're not good for you really. So I revamped my nutrition plan for those days. And just in the early stages of what I'm doing, I went further, harder, and longer and felt better because of the nutrition that I had with me on that run, on not run, but our pack trip. It started with I've been doing a home packed oatmeal breakfast that my wife puts together for me. She has this recipe. It's great. Sometimes it's like you can make overnight oats with it. I wake up in the morning. Most of the time, I just pour cold water on it and I eat it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, if it's really really cold and I have time, then I'm gonna heat some water up and I'll do it with hot water. But that's my breakfast. I am making my own dehydrated salmon jerky now. No sodium salmon
Mm-hmm.
jerky. It's amazing. So I get 6 ounces of salmon jerky a day. That's pure protein and omega-3 fatty acids that I'm intaking all day long while I'm eating that salmon jerky. Um, I take a little bit of some freeze dried chickpeas that has they're low sodium, but there is
Mm-hmm.
some sodium. So again, getting that sodium intake throughout my day. There's a little bit of sodium in my oatmeal as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else? What else did I have with me? I had your meal. I did have my ramen, and in my ramen, that and again, it's a no sodium ramen mix, and it has dehydrated carrots, onions, and mushrooms in it. And I'm changing that up. I'm because I would go to the store and buy the cheap ramen and pull
Yeah.
the noodles out of it and throw everything else away. So then I would have like cheap noodles. I'm doing quinoa now.
Mm-hmm.
I cook quinoa in beef or chicken broth, and then I dehydrate it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm going to replace that instead of the noodles. Takes a little bit longer to cook. You have to let the quinoa rehydrate. But what I found, rehydrated quinoa is just like freshly cooked quinoa. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had your meal, and again I felt so good. And we were on the move. We did over 20 miles in less than 48 hours with 50-pound packs,
Mm.
and I felt great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome to hear. I mean, you hit so many topics there that could be a podcast of their own. Like you said, the sodium, the content, the dehydrating, which is a different process than the freeze drying, which we can kind of touch on. But I have a quick story too. We did a self-guided moose hunt in Alaska. A buddy of mine and myself. I was lucky enough to be invited along to to be the meat packer on that one. So I went along and was able to successfully harvest. I think it was a 54-inch a bull up there. Just ourselves.
And
Uh,
we're
we,
gonna we're gonna have you on for a short episode, and you're gonna tell that story
Oh,
because
awesome. Would
it's a
would
great
love to.
story.
Oh, it's so cool. It's really the pinnacle, I would say, of my outdoor experience, and just a real blessing to be there. It felt like a dream. But basically on that trip, you touched on the sodium. Our pilot, he actually had a story he told us because he was really surprised. He's like, "Wow, you guys are actually bringing your own food with us on the trip," and he was really blown away by that. And he had told us about a gentleman, an older gentleman that actually went on the similar style of hunt, the drop camp with the bush plane, and he actually had to get on his Garmin InReach and message the pilot, "Hey, I got to get out of here. My heart's about to jump out of my chest." He has high blood pressure, and he was, not to knock any other brands out there, but he was going to go eat freeze dried meals for 2 weeks straight, and his body couldn't handle it, so he ruined a once in a lifetime hunt basically with subpar food.
Wow.
So I mean, it's so important, and I think it's in my case, I have all the gear figured out. Run exo packs and carbon fiber trekking poles. I mean, you name it. I mean, I've kind of tinkered around with it over the years, but really the big thing that was missing with myself personally, and I think it's a pretty common theme, is the food. I just think people overlook that as something it's kind of like secondary. Like I'll pick some stuff up a week or two before I go on my trip. I'll be driving. I'm from Pennsylvania, so my whole life I've been hitting Interstate 70 and going to Colorado or wherever else out west that I'm driving. And I'd stop at Cabela's or wherever else and pick up a bunch of food, and that's what I would have on my trip. I mean, I think it's very overlooked. So I mean, that's not to keep harping on that, but I think it's worth talking about. The dehydrating process you had alluded to. Really, the difference between we get that question quite a lot, and I think it's worth covering. Dehydrating is just, feel free to jump in, Aaron. You just kind of you're forcing the moisture out of that food through forced air and some heat. So you're kind of breaking the food down.
Mhm.
It's almost like the first process in, just say you're eating something. It's kind of the first process in your digestion. You're kind of like breaking it down. Really the freeze drying process. What we do is we put that food in there. It's ready to eat, fully cooked, everything like that. So just take for example spaghetti and meat sauce. You would have a whole big pot of spaghetti and meat sauce ready to eat. We put it in the machine there on trays, and then we freeze that food down to super cold temperatures, and then under a vacuum. We actually get that water in the food to start boiling. It's a really cool process. So the water actually boils out of the food at a super low temperature, so you're not breaking down the nutritional value of your food, and you're not using heat to force that moisture out. So and it's so whenever you pull it out, it's like I said, it's still fully cooked, but there's no moisture in it at all, and you retain all your nutritional value. Dehydrating it, it's an old process. It's a very good way to preserve food, but it also breaks down the foods. You can lose a lot of your nutritional value, your micronutrients, things like that, in that process. And really, the freeze drying is really the ultimate to preserve those micronutrients in your foods. I mean, it's of its own. I believe it's the ultimate way to preserve food, and also your weight savings. Aaron, you said about packing your 50-pound pack around. I'm well aware of what that feels like on a long hunt. Trust me. We did, multiple of our hunts have been, multiple week hunts, backcountry for elk. We spike in, as long as we can, and then come out. We just, if we're lucky to have a little bit of water at camp to take a shower, and we repack and, go to a different spot, things like that. But we do a lot of spike out style hunting. But the freeze dried process, you actually you lose up to even beyond 75% of your weight of the food. So if you start off with 100 pounds of food, you're going to end up with 25. In our case with our meals, you're going to end up with 4 to 6.2 net weight ounces on your meals, and that started off as give or take that pound of food, and the and water, being 8 pounds per gallon, it's definitely not a light object to be carrying around in the backcountry. So that's really a huge advantage to that type of food for any listeners out there that aren't familiar with the freeze dried food. A lot of guys I still see a lot of guys packing in, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and all that kind of stuff. And and it's great. I love it too. But if you're seriously going in for a long time, even like we did with the bush plane, really your freeze dried food is going to be really your only option for just even weight savings alone. So that's a huge advantage there.
The other thing too is the longevity of the food.
Hmm.
So freeze dried will last for years. Dehydrating your food does not last as long. Especially, so I spoke of my salmon jerky. You have to be really careful for two things. One, I'm not using any sodium or nitrates in that salmon, and two, I'm dehydrating it, which it's partially cooking it, right? Excuse me. It it will spoil. And so for me, when I'm prepping for a trip now, if I want to, when I take my ramen and I prep my salmon, and if I decide that I'm going to tinker around with any actual meals, I need to do that within 2 or 3 days of my departure, especially if I know I'm going to go for 5 to 7 days. So now that the shelf life on that salmon, if I do my salmon 3 days from departure and I'm going to be backcountry for 7 days, that salmon has to last for 10 days without spoiling. If it was freeze dried, it would be a different story. But with dehydrating, I have to look at, okay, what's going to happen to that salmon? Now, there's things that we can do about that, right? I can dehydrate it. Then I can put it in the refrigerator until the night before the morning of. I can vacuum seal it
Hmm.
and then put it in my daily ration bags or however you want to pack your food. So there's ways around it. But freeze drying, that is the ticket right now
Hmm.
for getting maximizing the value out of your food source, the volume and weight capacity in your pack, and the quality of the food that you're going to be intaking while you're on the trail. You can't touch freeze drying.
Yeah.
Dehydrating, you can do it. I mean, you can freeze dry at home, right? But dehydrating, it's far less expensive. I mean, you can get on Amazon and buy a dehydrator for 50, $60, and you can start making food. A quality freeze dryer is going to cost you $3,000, right?
Yeah, and you're going to be able to do maybe this much food on each tray or something.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but yeah,
It's
it's a
laborsome.
it's an expensive process. Like I said, you're using an air pump to get that negative vacuum pressure. There's more science involved in it. I mean, I have more science and Excel sheets on volumes of food and weight yields and things like that. I mean, I'm meticulous, definitely with having my scientific background. But yeah, it is the ultimate. I tell people our shelf life on the foods. I tell people 10 years, and really that's going to come down to how you store the foods technically, because really we've done our part. In freeze drying the foods, and really the consumer is going to have to do their part. I mean, there's certain ways you can ruin, I guess, freeze dried foods. I mean, obviously, opening the pack, it's going to start sucking the moisture in out of the air as soon as that's open. So really, the keeping that seal is really the ultimate way to preserve the food. You want to keep it in a cold, dry environment. You don't have to, but these are things that are going to make that food last decades, really. I mean, I tell people 10 years, and that's probably a pretty average lifespan for normal use. Basically, you put it in a plastic container and take it with you to Colorado on an elk hunt, and you just say you end up not using all that food. Well, you bring it home with you, and you can use it, the next, how many seasons, and which I've done myself. We started freeze drying in 2021, and I have food that I still open from 2021 and eat, and it's great. So you're talking 3 years now of shelf life on something that is going to last decades, really. So it's really amazing.
I also like your packaging. So
Hmm.
a lot of your a lot of the commercially available. So when I say commercially available, I'm talking about mass produced backpacking food. They come in really big bags.
Right.
When I was running peak refuel, I, days before my trip, I would open all the bags and I would dump all the contents into Ziploc bags. I would use gallon freezer bags. That way
Mhm.
I could squeeze the air out of that bag. I could roll it up and I'm taking less space in my pack.
Right.
Because those great big peak refuel bags, they take a ton of space in your
Hmm.
pack. And the bags that they use are heavier than a Ziploc bag. Your packaging is it's half the size. There we go. So um, for those that are choose to watch this on YouTube, you can Justin's holding up or for those that aren't watching this on YouTube, Justin's holding up one of their meals. It's the beef stroganoff. Have not tried that one yet. I'm looking forward
It's a
to
good
it.
one.
It's in a like almost like a foil. It's a mylar
Yeah.
bag,
Hmm.
and it's small, it's compact. You don't have to stick your arm up to the elbow to get to the
Yeah.
bottom of the pouch. You know, it's right at its finger depth. It's not messy, and it's just great quality food.
Hmm.
I'm hooked. They
Yeah,
also
but basically with our packaging, Aaron, too, like it's a thick wall mylar. So I mean, some of the stuff that I've ran into over the years of doing it is like the other brands, like Aaron's saying, is they'll rip open in your pack from just from rubbing in there because obviously you're just throwing stuff in your backpack. Typically what I do is I get a dry pouch and I roll these over and they really crush down. I mean, we're not selling you a huge pack. We're just selling you food. I mean, if you guys are seeing this, what we do is vacuum seal these down onto the food and freeze dry, like I said, the food in there. And we have an oxygen absorber in there that's going to keep that gas that's within the food inert. So it can't spoil in there. And like I said, we've taken out all the air that we can in there to make it super lightweight because you don't even want to be carrying air if you can. So like Aaron said, that they're not very tall, so you can get a normal. You can stop at a gas station. If you forget your spoon for your trip, you don't have to have your telescoping spoon or anything crazy like that to get way down in there. That's a great thing. The bottom of our pouches here, they're tapered inside, so you can reach every ounce of that food in all the corners. You don't have any food hanging up in there.
mhm.
God knows if you're in grizzly country, you don't want to have a whole bunch of food lingering around camp, and that's kind of a different. That's kind of another story, but and they stand up really well. We have reinforcing here on the pouches, and they splay out. You can sit them on the ground. No more leaning them up against the tree to try to keep them from tipping over and spilling all your freeze dried food out onto the ground. So it's a lot of our experiences and shortcomings and things like that I've experienced personally in the backcountry and more just frustration than anything have gone into our packagings too. So that's a huge advantage, I believe, over the other brands as well.
It's simple, it's clean, it's not over advertised, and it's highly functional. I'm a
Right.
big fan. I'm a huge fan. Not only do they have great meals, but you can get packs of freeze dried strawberries that are just, I mean,
Oh
it's,
man.
I'm almost toying with the idea of coming up with my own strawberry shortcake mix for some pack ins.
Hmm.
They have three flavors of cheesecake. Now, here's
It's
the cool thing.
homemade.
If you're not really familiar with freeze drying, so you don't have to add water to have the meal.
Hmm.
So the cheesecake, I just I eat it. I don't rehydrate it. I just take a bite of it and start chewing it. If I have a swig of water, great. If not, your saliva, it's just starts softening in your mouth, and by the time you swallow it, you're literally swallowing New York style cheesecake.
It's so good.
It is. It's so good. And you can get them in small packs too. So
Mhm.
it's almost like um, you're having almost like a little snack stick of cheesecake.
Hmm. Yeah, we sell the on our snacks and things like that. We sell they're we call them sample size packs. I don't have them with me. I just have the meals here, obviously. But we sell the sample size, and those are the small little guys. I'm just gonna give you a little sample and just give you enough to get you hooked. I gotta warn you, your viewers. And then we do sell the large size, which is equivalent to several of the sample size packs in there. So they're nice. They're nicely packed, and they they go great in the backpack too. And it's just a real pick me up on the on a trip like that. When you're sitting there on the mountainside, haven't seen an elk or a deer or a bear or whatever you're after for hours, and it's pouring down raining, and you're like, man, everyone knows that does the deep backcountry or even just normal hunting, just the frustration, because that's part of it. It's hunting. It's not called getting, it's called hunting, which is great. That's why we do it. But you reach in your pack and pull out a strawberry or blueberry cheesecake at 10,000 feet on the side of a mountain, and you're you're gonna be smiling.
Agreed. The only downfall to the cheesecake, if you don't rehydrate it, is I enjoyed it for 2 nights, and I was an after dinner dessert, and it's why we were podcasting. So I'm crunching on these cheesecake sticks while I've got a mic up here at collar level, right? So it's you can hear me crunching, crunch, 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 while we're podcasting. Outside of that, there are zero downfalls to the freeze-dried cheesecake made that's offered by On Point. It's man, it's I
Mhm.
can't I will continue to say great things about them. So I will say there are some other like mass produced options out there that are good quality.
Mhm.
I'm a big wilderness
Sure.
athlete fan. I'm wearing a t-shirt right now, and I'm drinking their hydration mix right now. Had they promote Heather's Choice. Heather's Choice, again, very small business. A lot. It's more of a well, it is dehydrated. It takes 20 minutes for your meal to cook. Better ingredients, healthier option. If you want more of a mass produced, it looks more like market industry style packaging and labeling, but it's the smaller single serving meal. I'm going to encourage everybody that's listened to this episode to look beyond what comes in fancy packages and is
Mhm.
sold at Shields or REI. I love Shields, but look beyond what's sold at Shields and REI. Go to the
Mhm.
On Point website and check out the meals that Justin and his wife are offering you. You're going to be super happy that you gave it a shot because you're going to make a shift. Now, I want to talk about something that all those other companies do not offer that my elk hunting partner this year, Chris Dunlap, and I are going to take advantage of. That is that if you as the hunter know that you're going to go for a period of days and you know how many meals you're going to want, and you have a recipe that you want to take with you, you can contact Justin
Mhm.
and they will make your meals to your request. So
Yep.
please give some more details on
Mhm.
that because I think that is just freaking awesome.
Yeah, so we call it custom freeze drying. So really it's gonna be kind of your recipe catered to you. It's a smaller service that we can offer because again it's just the wife and I doing the freeze drying. So we're a small time company. So basically just say you wanted chili. Like I have my favorite chili that if you don't mind sharing the recipe that we can make for you. Give us some time, and we'll get it freeze dried. We'll put it in our Mylar packs. We can customize the. This is a single meal Mylar pack, which is one full meal for one person. That's our typical size. It's that like I said, between that 4 to 6.2 net weight ounces. That's the freeze dried finished weight. But if you want an 8 ounce or a huge package, we can do double sizes, things like that. Just give us some time to get your meals prepped for you. We can pretty much freeze dry basically any meal that's a normal type of food that you would eat. Steak, pasta, soups work really well. Beef vegetable soup. I mean, things like that. I mean, it's really the sky's the limit. If it's a type of food that the moisture can be taken out of, we can freeze dry it essentially. The only things that you can't freeze dry are going to be like peanut butters, oil-based foods, very like a real like fatty like pork, things like that. You have to kind of watch out for that kind of will kind of turn rancid, basically, so to speak, because the moisture is not there. It's to pull out of it. It's an oil-based food, but let us know. You can get a hold of us at onpointadventurefoods.com. You can check our website out there. You can order right online as well. We ship nationwide. You can go to the contact us tab there, and you can shoot us an email or pictures, messages, anything like that you'd want to see, meals that you want us to try out. We'd be happy to experiment. That's how we kind of got where we're at. We're offering 12 different meals now. Sabrina just put on 3 different desserts now that we're offering. So I mean, we're always adding to the line. So it's
Excellent.
yeah,
So
experimenting.
I have two questions for you. I'm going
Sure.
to start with the first one. My wife has me hooked on collagen protein. I go with there's no flavor to it.
Hmm.
I can add it to anything. I can add a scoop of protein to my morning coffee. I can add a scoop of protein to my morning oatmeal. Um, in my meals that I'm making, so my ramen, I add a scoop of collagen protein to my ramen. So when I sit down on the mountain, be it 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whatever time frame we take that pause, and I have ramen, I'm pushing like 25 grams of protein into my
Hmm.
body. What do we know about muscle breakdown and muscle rebuilding under load, right? It needs
Hmm.
protein. And that's one thing that guys struggle with when they're in the wilderness is not getting enough protein um, for for muscles like sustainment, right? So my question to you is, if I email or call you and say, "Hey, Justin, these are the meals that I want. Can you amp up my
Hmm.
meals with collagen, with a scoop of collagen protein in
Sure.
every pouch?"
Yeah, sure you can. And we can get your meals customized to where you want them. Essentially, like I said, the custom freeze drying is it's about as simple as I can put it. For example, our big protein meal is the mixed, or sorry, not mixed berry granola, the or hold on a second, breakfast skillet. I'm sorry, I got so many of them running through my head. So we do a breakfast skillet, which is a egg-based meal. So that one's actually at the 55.7 grams of protein. There's 6 scrambled eggs in one of those. We don't use any potatoes in that one, so you're getting potatoes, or sorry, you're getting eggs, sausage, all the good stuff in there to get you going. But we can also amp that up, like Aaron said. You can, if you guys say, hey, we're looking for one meal to sustain me the whole day, and I want to have something that's 70 grams, we can either get you more ounces in that, or we can add supplemental nutritional items to that meal to amp it up. I mean, we can customize that meal for you. Absolutely. Just as an
Love it.
example. Yeah, we
Love
can
it.
work with you guys. Yep, absolutely. I implore everybody to reach out to us at either you can email us on the website there through the site, or you can get online at support at onpointadventurefoods.com. Shoot us an email. And before we leave here today, I wanted to make sure your viewers had a promo code, limbitless10. I'll send Aaron a link there to that, to give everybody 10% off that is listening and be on your whole order. We're going to keep that thing live all the time. So anytime your viewers want to get on there, 10% off on anything on our website. So like to
Holy
help you
cow.
like to help you guys out with that.
That's awesome. I had no idea that that was happening. That's really cool. Thanks, man.
Absolutely, man. But
Okay.
yeah, please. What other questions do you guys have?
So, well, my next question is, and now granted, I live maybe 5 hours from you, so
Hmm.
this might be easier for me. Can you, if I send you my own venison, can you make meals with my venison?
I'm gonna have to defer to Sabrina on that one. She's our food expert, so I don't want to tell you one way or the other. I gotta make sure because we're a commercial kitchen. So I have to watch with the doing the venison things like that because
Okay.
I know we're allowed to use the farm raised venison things like that, but just shoot us an email and I can let you guys know about that. It's not something we've done commercially for anybody yet. I mean, we can
Okay.
certainly do it. I mean, that's well within our capabilities of what we can do. But just let us know. Just shoot us an email if any of your listeners are thinking of something like that. We're in Western Pennsylvania, and Somerset County is actually where we're at. So we're just outside of Pittsburgh. We're easy enough to get to. So
So
reach out to us, and we'll work with you.
it's not a capability issue, it's a legality issue.
Yeah, yeah, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah,
All right.
we do everything by the book. I mean, our commercial kitchen, it's actually crazy. It is literally a laboratory. I mean, you can go in there and eat off the floors. I mean, it is really unbelievable how our process works and things like that. So, I want to make sure that we're we're totally by the book.
Have you considered doing a bison line because you can obtain commercial grade bison?
Yes. Yes, we I don't want to let anything out of the bag yet, but we're always experimenting.
Nice.
So
Man, I'm
oh
excited
yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a couple that meals that we're planning to release this year throughout the year. So we're always experimenting, trust me.
Right on. All right. Well, I man, we've been at it for the better part of an hour.
Yeah.
There's some topics that we wanted to cover, but I'm not sure if we're going to cover them in this episode. Um, so I mean, I don't want to spoil anything. Before I lead into that, is there anything else that we need to cover as far as on point adventure food, and whether it be the process, your capabilities, what you're offering, um, how or when to eat it? Is there anything else that you want to let the listeners know about your products?
Sure. Yeah. Basically I'll just cover kind of how the things work. Some of the people out there that may get onto the podcast may not be as familiar with the freeze dried food. Basically, all you do is as Aaron said, our packaging is very minimal, which is good for a deep backcountry wilderness pack. All you do is rip the top off here, guys. And I'll just even do it while we're on the podcast here. All you do is rip the top off, and then what you do is you pop your meal open, and then you just add your boiling water right to the meal. Here's our beef stroganoff. So if you can see in there, guys, it's a freeze dried beef stroganoff meal. Beautiful egg noodles, shredded beef, things like that. And then there's a oxygen absorber in there I alluded to earlier. That's as simple as it is, guys. All you have to do is have your hot or boiling water just add right to the meal there, stir it up, and you let it sit for about 10 to 12 minutes or so total. I always stop halfway through and give it a quick stir just to make sure it's totally thoroughly hydrated the whole way through. And then you can just eat them right out of the pouch there. You just pop them open, and it's going to be a hot, steaming meal. It's going to be piping hot, so just be careful. Just eat them right out of the pouch. I mean, they're fantastic. You don't have to just be a hunter. If there's any hikers or bicyclists out there, guys that do motorcycle trips. I have truck drivers that buy the meals off of us, guys that work underground in coal mines. I mean, all these different people that are eating our foods just because of the convenience. and it's an easy to eat meal because it is exactly home cooked meals like you're going to eat at home. I mean, that's the beauty of it. So it's an easy thing to eat for anyone, and it covers a wide palette, I would say, of people, because you're not trying to reinvent their food that they're used to eating. So then that's kind of the beauty of it. We have 12 different kinds of meals and counting. So we're always adding more, breakfast, lunch, and dinners. So, feel free to get online at onpointadventurefoods.com, see what all we offer. I'm sure there's something for everybody. We have gluten-free meals on there, like the spaghetti squash sausage marinara is that thing's awesome.
It is
And
on point, literally on point.
and yeah, we feel like we have a wide variety of offerings. And then you even said about the oatmeal and granola. We do a mixed berry granola, which is a super nice meal for in the mountains or on the go. So we have so many different kinds. Get on there and check us out, guys. Definitely.
Right on. So before we wrap this up, I am going to let all of the listeners know this. Justin took a trip to South Africa for a safari. So we're gonna have a couple. We will have future episodes with Justin, not necessarily from an on point adventure food perspective, but to hear two great stories. So
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna have an episode on your Alaskan moose hunt
Sure.
because it's just an incredible story and it's educational for people
Yes.
that want to do a moose hunt. You're going to want to listen to that episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then we want to do an episode to hear about your safari as well.
Sure.
Those episodes are coming soon.
Yeah, be happy to jump in, guys, and help you out with educating people on doing those type of trips. I'm going to give a quick shout out to our guide and outfitter in South Africa, A.B. Stein, Steyn Safari, A.B. Stein Safari. Guys, they were fantastic. I can't speak highly enough of AB and his outfitters and crew over there. I mean, it was awesome. The quality of the animals was great. Anyone thinking of doing a safari like that, you can even email me and I can get you personally in touch with AB. Those guys were great. So I mean, we just, like Aaron said, we just got back from that one, so we would love to do a rundown of that trip. I mean, lots of animals over there, and it's really, the value of the hunt is unbelievable. So, yep, looking forward to that and sharing some of my other crazy hunts with with Aaron and everybody on the podcast here. I'm really looking forward to it.
And what else is coming is when Justin and I do hit the woods together, we will be podcasting every night from those adventures. So this is just this is an incredible podcast, and we alluded to it earlier. People will spend hours and hundreds of dollars on their clothing,
Mm-hmm.
their packs, their shelters, their sleep systems, their boots, and then they'll go down to, some guys will go to Walmart and they'll buy just whatever mountain house is hanging on the shelf, right? And they don't spend any time researching and looking at nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
which is the three main things that a person needs to focus on when they walk away from their vehicle to venture into the wilderness for a period of time. It's food, water, and shelter. Those
Right.
are the three main things. And if you're not focusing on your food and nutrition intake, you will jeopardize your hunt at one point or another. And you may not really realize it, but at the end of the day, when you start running out of gas, you get tired and you
Mm-hmm.
just want to go back to camp. Brain function. Brain
Yes,
function is impacted by hydration and nutrition.
big time.
It's a big thing. And sometimes when you're not hydrating or eating correctly and you make that poor decision in the woods and it causes you to get busted, it's not bad luck. It's because you did something wrong. Granted, the wind can shift, right? But
Sure.
sometimes you didn't put yourself in the right position because your thought process was not on point
Mm-hmm.
because you were not hydrated or not eating correctly, and you made a bad decision, which puts you in a place for the winds to not work in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
You got busted. So again, I want everybody to understand that this nutrition piece is huge. On point is the right step in getting you on top of your game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to make sure you're eating the best food at the best possible time, because a lot of people are going out there and they're eating the worst food at the worst possible time. Because whenever you, as Aaron said, I mean, you're pushing yourself here. I mean, whenever we do these trips, Aaron can probably exactly tell you how many pounds we lose. I mean, if you go out for my last DIY elk and mule deer hunt I did was I think it was 17 or 18 days, something something crazy like that of hunting straight. And the only time we would come back is to the truck to grab some equipment or gear, or refuel here with food. But I mean, those trips, that it is so demanding on your body, and a lot of times whenever I do a Western style hunt, it's high elevation. It's so a lot of the things Aaron has alluded to, of nutrition, it affects so many other things. You don't wake up in the middle of the night. A thing that I had too was that ear splitting headache. I never could understand it. I always stayed hydrated. I was healthy. I did conditioning before the hunt. I did everything right, and I still had this just brain fog and this just ear splitting headache whenever I was trying to sleep at night. And it was because of the sodium and other subpar ingredients, stuff that you can't pronounce, that you you have to look up on Google to
Mm-hmm.
understand what they are. But yeah, just to kind of like wrap that part of the nutritional stuff up. I mean, it really really affects your hunt, and you don't even realize how much it's impacting your experience on your adventure, because of the nutrition. Absolutely. I can't stress enough.
So, Justin, I know you've brought it up a couple of times. Please tell the listeners everywhere they can find you and On Point.
Sure. Yeah. Guys, primarily we sell online at onpointadventurefoods.com. That's our kind of main point of sale. But we also go to a lot of shows. We do a lot of farmers markets here in Western Pennsylvania. Ligonier Farmers Market is a huge one we do. They've been really great to us. We go to a lot of outdoor shows. We like as Aaron said, him and I both did a seminar down at the Great American Outdoor Show in Harrisburg. We've done 2 years in a row down there, set up vending. So I mean, we have a booth there. I do as much talking and educating people there as I do selling. I love just kind of going through the whole process with people, and and if people buy something, great. If not, I hope they leave my conversation with some more information, or ask the right questions somewhere else along the line. So just happy to be able to help. If you guys have any gear questions, feel free to email us online too about that. I did the seminar, and is very similar actually to Aaron's seminar. But we should have did a 2 hour long one
Do a tag
together.
team.
Yeah,
Tag
but
team.
I did a seminar on backcountry hunt planning and nutrition, because I feel like they're equally as important. I went over gear and food and things like that, but that's not to get into to go off into the weeds too much. But we do go to a lot of shows. If you guys would like to find out where we're going to be, just shoot us an email. We can meet you at a show, or if we're passing through. We have a pretty wide range of places we go with the business. We're not brick and mortar. I wouldn't say yet, as far as our business ourselves, but we are in some stores and things like that too. So I mean, you guys can check us out. The different places we sell. We're in a few sports shops, things like that. So just reach out to us, and we'd be happy to help you out in any way we can.
And Instagram and Facebook too.
Instagram and Facebook, yes.
All right. Got to get that
Very
out
important.
there. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Right on. All right. Justin, great episode. Really enjoyed the flavor of this topic.
Mm-hmm. I think we could go quite a long time in talking about the food nutrition, and then split that off into all the elk hunting, deer hunts we've done, backcountry wilderness, moose hunting I've done, and different things like that that hopefully inspire some of your viewers to look more in depth into it. And that, I definitely think the conversation is there to be had. So I think I would be really excited to come back and do a couple more episodes with you, Aaron.
We certainly will. We certainly will. All right. Hey, Justin, again, thanks for coming on the Limitless podcast. It's been a great chat. We are going to do this again, and be limitless.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for having me.